What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Kevin Naki here for Esports Weekly with Coca-Cola. I'm joined by the one and only Semmler here at IEM San Jose. Man, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. We got over the jet lag. We survived. Now it's just feeling good. It's easy street.
Awesome, good stuff. So, honestly, just as someone who's been watching your work for a while, I got to say congratulations. It's awesome to see you blowing up after CounterStrike has been getting so big, and I'm sure this has been a very satisfying feeling for you, seeing how popular the scene has become.
Absolutely. When we started it, we were just doing it, for fun, really. It was like 3,000 viewers, and that was a great night, and it was all good. And then it just there's like this meteoric rise. All of a sudden, it just kind of just blew up. With the first major, DreamHack winner 2013. After that, we were all wondering what the hell was going to happen. Nobody knew if that was a fluke or if it really was going to be up and up with CSGO, if it was the return. And sure enough, major after major, event after event, it just kept growing, and the scene kept growing, and just it's crazy to see that now we're in a stadium in North America. It's come so far over the past 2 years.
And what's really cool, too, to me is that, let's talk about that North American crowd. I didn't know how, in what force they would come out, how passionate they would be. They have been behind their USA team so far. It looks like Liquid is going to give them their great hope right now. But do we have real hope for NA in 2016 with all these new leagues? You can be honest about this.
Yeah, well, I just think that there's still a huge gap between the North American teams and the European teams. Europe are still very far ahead. Just the way that they approach the game, the way that they approach their practice, the way that they, the competitive mentality that they have, everything is just a step ahead of North America. North America, though, they at least have realized this over the past year and a half. It's been a bit of a struggle. I think that they've thought in their heads that they were on par with you, right? That they were better than they actually were. Now that they have that hard reality check of Cloud9 having a bit of a rise in the summer and then dipping right back down again. It's been that reality check where it's just like, okay, we really do need to sit down. We really do need to try and figure it out. We're not as good as we think we are, and that's the first step to obviously, recognizing your faults, working on those, and then really having a chance of becoming a top-tier team. Whether that's going to happen in 2016, I don't know, really, because it doesn't seem like there's still that one unit, that one North American unit that can go toe-to-toe consistently yet. Cloud9 were that team during the summer, but that was just such a short, brief, stunt. We haven't really seen consistency. So maybe end of 2016, another 6 months, I think, is what's going to be necessary for us to start really seeing a North American team going toe-to-toe with the best in the world.
Well, we have new big leagues that are coming down the line, so hopefully the increased amount of international competition is going to elevate their skill a little bit. Let's look forward at those leagues a little bit. So now, 2015 was the year of CounterStrike. 2016 looks like it's going to be the year of CounterStrike once again. We have major exclusive leagues. It seems like organizations are fighting over what available live time there is for this sport now. Do you actually think that this is going to be a good thing going forward, that we're going to have a little bit of consolidation of these online leagues, maybe increase our live presence and give players a little bit more opportunity to prepare?
What is going to be the key here with these online leagues is that we have cross-pollination between the two, that Euros are playing versus NA regularly on a league basis, and that NA are going to Europe, or vice versa, because the main thing that has happened over the past couple of years is that NA have been playing against NA, which again feeds into this whole sense of, this false sense of security, right? Yeah, we're dominating in NA, we can definitely take it to the Euros. Oh wait, what? We just got bodied. Now, if we can actually have some European teams playing a little bit more consistently in these NA leagues, for example, if this Turner League that's been announced, if that actually comes to pass, and you have some top-tier European teams staying for an extended amount of time in North America, where they're going to be able to play against the North American teams regularly, that's going to work wonders for North America, because that's the main concern that's expressed by a lot of North American pros, is that the meta is shifting, and Europe are always one step ahead in the meta, and so they always feel like they get thrown into a tournament, and they're having to think on their feet. Okay, wait, what are we missing, right? How do we catch up? And it's just this. They're always having to claw from behind. Whereas if they're playing a little bit more regularly versus the European teams in an online league, for example, or in more LANs happening in North America, that gap is going to close. They're going to get a little bit closer, I think, in getting up with the meta and being able to stay toe-to-toe with the Euros. So that's going to be the real interesting. That's what we're all wondering about, say, with this Turner League, for example. Are the Tier 1 European teams going to come over to North America? Are they going to stay here for a while? That can only benefit the global scene, I think. So we'll see. North America, I think, need to hope that happens, because if it continues to stay in these NA-driven leagues where they're only playing against each other, it's just going to stay. It's going to stay par for the course. It's going to maintain this way.
Now, we already know there's a lot of great things that are coming for CounterStrike next year. We already talked about it, new leagues, tons of money in the scene. It seems like there's increased visibility. What are you actually worried about, and what do you think that the CounterStrike community needs to take a step back and say, okay, with all this new stuff coming in, new power, everything, what do we have to do to make sure that we don't blow this, and we don't have another situation like CPL, CGS, etc.?
Don't kill the smaller orgs in the scene. Long and short of it, you're going to have orgs that are making decisions to try and stay relevant next year. Smaller orgs that don't have the bankroll, that don't have the backing, that can't just come in and crack a few $1 million. And so, but those orgs are still necessary. They were here from the beginning of CS. They haven't grown like these other bigger orgs have, but they're still here and they still serve a purpose, which is to give a solid training ground to tier 2 teams and to allow them to play versus tier 1 teams every now and again. But it serves as a stepping stone, right? If you eliminate that stepping stone, that's when you get into like stagnancy, where it's just going to be the top teams all the time, and you're never going to have anybody new coming in, or very rarely are you going to have somebody new coming in. I think we really do need to take a moment to think, okay, yes, we can have these super leagues, and that can be awesome. But let's do it in a way that doesn't eliminate the smaller orgs out there.
So do you believe in a franchise system? Do you believe that leagues should share with teams? Because it seems like you're suggesting that we need to ensure that we keep new blood coming into the scene, we keep new teams cycling through. So does a franchise system work against that?
I honestly haven't put enough thought into that point in particular to be able to give you a full answer on it. But
okay. Sure, fair enough. I guess the way that we should ask it is that are you afraid that new money coming into the scene could potentially quash these smaller organizations? We're only going to be looking at the VPs and Navis and NIPs of the world.
Exactly, and I think it works. And the other thing is, I think we need to start creating some scarcity around these teams. So I'm totally for teams, because up until now, CS teams have still kind of lacked that security. They feel like they still have to attend every LAN to get that prize money because they aren't making enough money behind it, right? They don't have the merch sales, and if they do, the players don't necessarily have the best deals with the merch sales. All this it's a big picture problem, right? All this comes from a bunch of things that are adding up, right? Better contracts for players. They need to be more aware of what goes into those contracts so that they can actually get what should be coming to them and not get screwed out of it. That's one part of it, but the big leagues, yes, I don't think that you. I don't think that it has to come in and actually just say, okay, we're here now and we don't care about anybody else. We want to be the top dogs. I don't think that has to happen at all. I think that there is a way to find, a way to grow together. I don't think that I think that people, we tend to think that we're much bigger than we actually are in esports. That we're relevant. This is it. The moment we're proving ourselves. People are talking about us and this is awesome. And people really need to take a step back and say, wait a second, we have a long way to go. We're not big enough to where we can start just saying, this is going to be the one big league, screw the rest. We're not there yet. We still need to be looking out for each other, I think.
Esports is largely at a point where we're real. We're here to stay and everything like that, but we need to ensure that we don't make mistakes that are going to throw us back and completely undo the work that we've done up to this point, basically.
Learn from our mistakes.
Exactly, right? And it seems like whenever you get into a situation where there's a money grab, people seem to forget about those really, really quickly.
Well, and that also stems from people being in this scene for so long and not really getting so much out of it on the financial side, right? It's been a lot of labor of love, where you're putting hours in, you're not getting you're not making a full-time salary, but you're doing it anyway. You're doing more than you should, even for a full-time job. You're still working harder, and so when money gets on the table, big money, these $1 million deals that are coming through, maybe that's just like all of a sudden it's just like, oh, here it is, right? The moment, right? This is the moment I've been waiting for, right? And so that's a scary thing, and we've seen it in the past, and we need people to just take a step back, remember what's happened in the history, and just consider that. Nothing wrong with going for money, just do it in a smart way. Don't do it in a way that's just like a power grab or just you're going to get yours and screw everybody else, right? Just try and think a little bit more about how we can actually grow together, because I think then we'll be talking about that longevity that you mentioned. Esports is here to stay. Yes, okay, we've made a lot of progress, but I still think that there's a lot to do before we can really say that. There's so much to learn from.
Well, I completely agree with that. Thank you very much for your time. I know you want to get back to the game, so thanks so much for jumping on, guys. That's going to wrap things up here for this interview, the Esports Weekly with Coca-Cola. We're going to be here at IEM all weekend long, though, so make sure you keep it tuned here to IGN for more content.